Hi, this is Elizabeth from Gabriel Family Adventures, and today I'm going to share a review with you of the Vidanta Resort in Riviera Maya, Mexico. We had previously stayed in a Vidanta resort in Acapulco, the Grand Mayan, and it was a very positive experience. And although we're more all-inclusive kind of people, we decided to give Vidanta a second chance because we did have a really good time previously. So the way I'm going to structure this review is I'm going to go over the things that we loved about the resort and follow that with some things that were kind of a mixed bag. And I'll end with things that were pretty huge disappointments, just so that you can make an informed decision as to whether or not this is a resort that you're interested in staying in. If I missed anything or if you have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to comment below and I will respond to any and all of those. So here we go. All right, so let's talk about the good stuff about Vidanta Riviera Maya. The grounds are stunning. It's beautiful. It's kind of a jungle feel, which does have kind of a jungly must to it because it's very humid. My hair did suffer as a result of the humidity, but it was so nice to be around all that lush greenery and the animals that came with it. There were lizards, there were birds, there were bugs, not in the room, of course, but out on the grounds. And so it's really fun to come across some wildlife that I had never seen before. They have a flamingo sanctuary, they have crocodiles, all kinds of really interesting things, and it made it a fun place for the kids to wander around with me and look at all the neat animals and stuff like that. The facility itself is really well maintained. The gym and the spa were gorgeous. I didn't have any spa treatments when we were there, wish I had, but I did use the gym a few times and it was spacious. It had this amazing Caribbean view, all the equipment that I could have possibly wanted, and very clean, very well maintained. There was a staff person always there kind of wiping things down and helping you get water and whatever you may need. So overall, great gym for those of you who like to try to get some fitness in on your vacation. So that was definitely a plus. Let's talk about food because that's always important when you go to a resort. The food is delicious. The drinks are wonderful, and if they don't have something on the menu that you want, as long as you can tell them what's in it, they'll make it for you. So we got all kinds of delicious seafood dishes and yummy cocktails and Aperol spritz, you know, kind of anything you could possibly want. Now the price is a different story, which I'll get to later in this review, but we never had a meal that we didn't like. We never had a meal that was disappointing. Even the food by the pool was really good and something I would highly recommend. So if you're gonna spend some time at the pool, they actually have a program where you can rent a cabana, and they say it's $30 a day, but it isn't really, because what you do is if you order any food or drinks at the pool, they will credit that amount towards the rental fee of the cabana. So what that equates to is if you order anything at all, you're gonna spend more than $30 because everything is a little more expensive than what we had expected. But then you can have this big, beautiful, comfortable cabana, lots of shade so you can get out of the sun a little bit and enjoy a few hours at the pool, and the kids can play and you can relax. And so I highly recommend that. You do have to sign up a day before or in the morning if there's some available. And it's better to sign up the day before because then you can get a better location if there's a certain part of one of the swimming pools that you're looking for. But overall, even if you don't get a cabana, it's fine. There's a ton of pool chairs. There's a lot of pools to choose from, which was fun. And so we kind of did some pool hopping around the resort throughout the week, and the kids just loved that experience. The staff at the resort are all incredibly kind, wonderful people. We felt like our service was great. It was very prompt. You know, our water glasses were never empty at dinner, and we didn't think that, you know, sort of there's that reputation sometimes when you're at a resort on vacation that everything takes a really long time, you have to wait forever. That definitely wasn't the case. We got all of our orders, anything we could have wanted, in a very timely manner. The housekeepers were polite and very discreet. So overall, the staff at the resort was trustworthy, phenomenal, exactly what you're hoping for when you're on vacation. One major thing that we loved about the resort was the section of the resort called Saloom. And the only reason I knew about this before we got to the hotel is that I read a review on TripAdvisor about it. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking at going somewhere on vacation, to watch review videos like this, read tips on TripAdvisor, because then you can get kind of some inside scoop, especially when it comes to such a huge resort like Vidanta. Knowing about things that you might have to search for and maybe you wouldn't know about just looking at a map or when you check in and talking to someone at the front desk. And so Saloom is a perfect example of that. It just opened a few months ago, and it is this kind of outdoor seating, dining, shopping experience. They have little areas where you can buy souvenirs. There's places to hang out in. You can get desserts there. There's ice cream, there's churros. Sometimes they have mariachi bands playing at night. Then they have several different restaurants and different cuisines from around the world. And what's great is that if you're seated at one restaurant, you can actually look at the menus from all of them because they're all really close to each other and order off of each menu. So one night, for example, my husband ordered one meal, I ordered from a different restaurant, and the kids ordered from a different restaurant. And so we were all happy with our food. No one was arguing. It was great. And then after dinner, if you want, or whenever, you can go and swing in the hammocks. They have lounge chairs, they have music playing. When the sun goes down, there's all these great lights, and it's just a really cool, fun place to hang out in. And because it's kind of on the side of the resort and was built recently, you could easily miss it if you're staying on the other side of Vidanta, or maybe only come across it on your third or fourth day, and then you might really feel like you're missing out because it's such a fun experience. So I definitely recommend going to Saloom the first day you get there, and you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's talk about things that weren't terrible, but definitely are useful pieces of information to make an informed decision about whether or not you book at Vidanta. And so the first thing is you have a complimentary pickup from the airport by the hotel, and they take you to the resort. And so that seems great, but it's one of those where they have to wait until the entire van is full until they actually leave the airport and take you to the hotel. So if you don't mind waiting, especially if you're not traveling with little kids, it's nice. It's a great deal. It is about $30 or $40 to and from the airport, so you do save a little bit of money. But if you're like us and you had two kids who are pretty tired and pretty hungry and you just kind of want to get to the resort, I wish we had just gotten a taxi, because we ended up waiting about an hour to be able to leave after we had already gone through customs and baggage and all that stuff. So it wasn't as great of a deal as what we thought. The other thing that is something to think about is that the resort is enormous. It's over 1,000 acres, and if you have limited mobility, that is a problem. They do have golf carts, they do have little trams that take you around the resort, so you can get to places, but then you have to go and wait in line and make sure you get on the right golf cart to take you. So if mobility is a problem, this may not be the right resort for you. We really enjoyed walking. They have a lot of wood paths through the jungle to get to different places. So we loved it because it was kind of an adventure. We did get lost several times, but that most of the time it was fine. It was just when we were starving or if it was really hot out that it wasn't okay, that I kept losing my sense of direction. But it is an adventure, but something you should be mindful of if you have limited mobility, for sure. The other thing that was kind of a bummer is that the water off of the resort was full of seaweed, and it was definitely not what I was used to being on the Caribbean side. So I don't know if it was just because of where the resort is located or that particular time of year, but we ended up not swimming at all in the water, which is fine with me. I'm kind of a pool girl, but the kids and my husband really love swimming in the water, and so we mostly spent our time at the beach or really by the pool hanging out in that water. The water was warm, it just had a lot of stuff in it, so that was kind of a bummer. All right, so the rooms, where are you going to be staying? In Acapulco, when we went, we stayed in the Grand Mayan, and it was really nice, very spacious, clean. This time around, we ended up booking the Mayan Palace. I'm not quite sure why, and even when we checked in, we were told by the gal at the front desk, she said, oh, you're, according to your timeshare membership, you should be at the Grand Mayan. And we said, oh, okay, can you get us a room over there? And she said, nope. So anyways, we were at the Mayan Palace. It was fine. It was spacious. It was clean. The only thing that we're kind of bummed out about is that the cleaning rotation for our particular room was at kind of the worst possible time for our sort of family schedule. They would come to clean the room around 2 or 3 p.m., which was pretty much the time every day where the kids were getting pretty tired from all the sun and the pool, and so we were getting them to try to rest a little bit. And my husband would usually nap with them, and then I would try to sneak off to the gym, and then we'd hear a knock on the door of the cleaning ladies, so we would usually end up just kind of sending them on their way. And then turn down service was, they showed up usually around 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, which is when we were trying to get everyone to go to sleep. So I don't know if that's how it is around the whole resort, or maybe we just had kind of that off time in the room schedule of when they were cleaning different places, but it led to our room being only cleaned about twice throughout the week, which it's fine. I don't have a house cleaner at home, so I could live with it, but you know, it is kind of fun on vacation to have your room cleaned every day, so we were a little bummed about that. Okay. So let's talk about the ugly, the stuff that we were pretty unpleasantly surprised with. The first being the price of the food. So one of the things that we were really surprised about with Vidanta Acapulco was that the food was so delicious and so affordable. We thought it was so great. And we just assumed that it would be a similar experience at Riviera Maya, and we were dead wrong. I felt as if I was at a resort in Hawaii, the kind of cost it was for every meal. Now, again, the food was delicious, and if you're the type of person who doesn't mind, then go for it. It's great, and you won't be disappointed in your food. But for us, we're more used to all-inclusive resorts where you just kind of pay ahead of time and then don't think about it. And so for us, every single meal, I felt like I was kind of paying more attention to the cost than I would normally when I'm on vacation. And I don't really like to think about much of anything on vacation besides whether or not I've put on enough sunscreen. So definitely something to think about. Now, the food is great, like I said before, so you just think about that when you're making your decision. The other thing is that the timeshare presentation folks are very difficult. For those of you who've been to a timeshare presentation in the past, you know that it's never really a fun, pleasant experience. It's never really 90 minutes like they promise you, and things tend to get a little dicey at the end. Well, that was absolutely the case this time, but it was definitely more frustrating than presentations I'd been to in the past. The only reason we even said we would go to the timeshare presentation was because by about the 4th day, I was just kind of flabbergasted by the price of all the food, and the timeshare people kept calling our room saying, oh, well, you know, if you go to this 90-minute presentation, then you can have this discount on the food, discount on your resort fees, and we'll give you extra credits towards your stay. So by about 4 days in, I caved. My husband was not amused by this, by the way. So I signed us all up. We brought along the kids because we thought they could maybe act a fool and then we could get out early, but unfortunately they were really well behaved this time around. So we went to the timeshare presentation, and you get kind of passed from person to person, and what was so interesting is that they all gave me different versions of the truth and things that were just outright lies, or if they weren't lying, that means the person before them was. And it was really frustrating because I felt like it was a completely dishonest experience. I would never purchase a timeshare through Vidanta based on our experience at Riviera Maya. At one point, one of the managers said he was even going to fire the previous gentleman who spoke to us because he was so rude. I don't know if this happens all the time, but it was pretty crazy. And I'm not a very uptight person, and even I started to lose my patience with it. So it was pretty unpleasant. And then at the end, what was interesting is that things seemed a little dicey when it came to what was actually promised to us. I just didn't feel good about it. So I made sure to keep all of my paperwork, and I asked and asked over and over again, okay, are these things going to be credited towards our bill? Oh, of course, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. So when we go to checkout, which was a very long process, by the way, so give yourself lots and lots of time when you are trying to leave the hotel to get back to the airport, way more than you even think you might need. We got to the desk, we get a printout of the bill. I went through everything. I do have some Spanish ability because a lot of the words of the charges were in Spanish, and there were things that were not on there that were supposed to be credits towards our account, and so we had to wait, talk to a manager, and they wouldn't take my word for it, but I just happened to have all that paperwork, so I brought that out. They had to make a few phone calls. Lo and behold, they must have somehow missed putting it on our account, and so they fixed all that. So just save everything. Hopefully it was just us. I have a feeling it happens to a lot of guests, so just know that before you go into it. My husband says we should have just not gone to the timeshare presentation and then everything would have been fine, but we did save, I believe, somewhere between $400 and $500 because of that. It's also because we ate and drank a lot, and so we had a lot of credits to come back to us, but it was a frustrating experience, and I really hope I don't cave and give in to a future timeshare presentation at a different resort. But those were our experiences with Vidanta, and I hope if you choose to go to the resort, you get to enjoy all of the great things it has to offer. And if you have kind of a frustrating experience, let me know. Or if you have any questions or follow-up about what I've shared, please comment below. Subscribe for more reviews in the future, and have a wonderful day. See ya.